is Hard Parking, sponsored by Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning. We are finally at the episode with Mr. Noah Nelson. I've been talking about this now for a few weeks. Noah recently went to Burma. There's a war going on in that little country. He went over there as a journalist to get some ideas and interview some people and take some photos, and ended up getting caught in the middle of the conflict. And he tells some very scary and compelling stories. And something like that changes who you are, or it brings out who you really are as a person. And I purposely left a few pauses, a few ums, because I want you to feel the thought when I ask him a question and he responds and thinks about, recounts his trip over there and what it was like to be immersed in such an environment where you're walking, sometimes running for your life, when you have no idea where the gunshots are coming from. People around you are getting shot. People are hungry. And believe it or not, we actually do get into a little transportations because this is a non-automotive automotive podcast. As with all my interviews, this is brought to you by Cell Shop Wireless Services. That's cellshop.us. Noah Nelson in his Burma story coming up. Jhae Pfenning here, and I want to tell you guys about 4 Wheel Online. For over a decade, 4 Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They are dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. Their truck products cover everything you need to give your truck a custom look and added functionality. And if you need a tire and wheel package, head over and use the configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitted today. So visit them online at 4Wheel Online or call them at 813-769-2451. Again, that's 4Wheel Online, the number 4 Wheel Online. Noah Nelson, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a long time. This is the first time we're actually on video. Looking good, like the facial stuff that's going on. How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Yeah.
You missed it. I actually was growing like a really long, like white beard, and I went back to this kind of half mustachy look and half not mustachy look because I felt like with the beard, unlike you, like it's all white. So it's straight up Papa Smurf. And I'm like, no. I tried to upload a black and white, I think, selfie. And I looked at it and I go, yeah, no, it's all got to come off. So, but you're looking good, man.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, it's a different look for sure. My daughter hates it, but I think she enjoys calling me old more often because I got the white. But yeah, I like it. Kind of helps hide my double chin. So,
dude, kids, we got the same problem here. Every time my wife changes something, she goes, well, I go, ask me what I think. I'm your husband. Don't ask the kids because they're going to tell you they don't like it because it's not what they're used to. So how long ago was it when you went to Burma? Let's talk about Burma a little bit because I know it seems like it's changed you a little bit just on the social media level. And then maybe we should talk about the writer strike. Is the writer strike that's going on right now, how is that impacting? Seems like every time we talk, something's going on. I think last time it was 2020 when we talked officially.
Yeah, I went to Burma last year. Feels like around this time, I think. It was in May. It was at the beginning of May, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was around this time. It was the beginning of May. And I did 2 missions with the Free Burma Rangers, David Eubank and his family, for the purposes of conducting research, boots on the ground research about their operations in Burma and his family in particular, for the purposes of a TV show, developing a TV series. And it was life-changing, in a lot of ways. And, I didn't know what to expect. David, who's a former major for the Army's elite special forces of Army Rangers, is a pretty fit guy, even for I think he's in his late 50s now. And, he's just a stud. And he told me to get in shape. He said, be prepared, get in shape. And, I'm a California guy. I feel like I'm in I felt I was in pretty decent shape, but I stepped up the notch on the a treadmill. I put it up a couple more levels.
Went from 2.5 to 4.
Yeah,
Speed.
exactly.
Yeah, that's about my pace now.
Yeah, but then I got there and it was like, man, it was embarrassing. I didn't know what to expect. I had talked to him, I had conversations with him, but he keeps things pretty close to the vest because of how they get you into Burma and also what's going on over there. And he certainly doesn't want to allude or give any information where his camp is or some of their operations. But it's so I flew into Chiang Mai and then middle of the night, drive for hours, don't know where you are. And then I can't really talk about it, but they smuggle you in.
Right.
And that takes a while. And that's an experience. And then you show up in this sort of like place and you meet Dave and you're taken in a truck and they drive on this like road that is not barely drivable. And then you finally get to this river and then you have to hike and it's humid and it's the jungle and it's like, it's real, man. And so it's about 8 miles.
So you had to hike about 8 miles once you cross this.
Yeah. Once you cross the river and then it's 8 miles and it's like, it's steep. It's not like 8 miles. It's not like an 8-mile hike through the jungle. It's like 8 miles up mountains, down mountains. It's like, and it's not, it's intense. And so I couldn't do it. I quit.
So you're telling me that the hill setting that's on the treadmill, it's not going to really prep?
No, that's not going to help you. But yeah, I thought I was toast and I was done. And David was looking at me like, oh boy, if he can't keep up with this, there's no way he can go on the missions. And so I was there in camp for about almost 3 weeks. And he said to me, he goes, all right, look, here's the deal. If you do what we just did today in the morning and you run it without your pack, and then in the afternoon, you do the same thing with your pack and just walk it. He goes, you do that every day for the next 2.5 weeks. He goes, you just might be able to survive. So that's what I did and ended up barely surviving on the missions.
Let me ask you this. Let's go back to when you land there. You said you weren't quite sure, what to expect. You still had to have some kind of an idea. And it sounds like whatever your idea was, this wasn't it. But then when you land, describe the airport. I mean, is it just like a 3-gate thing? Like I've never been to like a third world, obviously international airport, or maybe not even international. And then what's going through your mind as you get picked up?
Yeah, it's not a third world airport. You fly into I flew into Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I don't know Thailand. We're thinking about going to Thailand, so maybe I'll find out.
It's awesome. Yeah. I look, man. I'd seen videos. I heard stories of what was going on in Burma, and I knew what David and the Rangers do. I mean, they provide, in addition to providing medical and relief support to the displaced people of Burma, they also do rescue missions, and that gets pretty dangerous because there's actual battles and bullets flying and grenades landing and landmines and jets strafing, and it's all out war there right now. So that gets dangerous. So I knew that I was warned that mission, the Karenni mission, could get pretty loud and dangerous, but I hadn't planned on being a part of any of that, man. I mean, I'm a runner. So my thing was, I'm going to go there. I'm going to hike. I'm going to stay back. I'm not going to get involved with any of that. Interview
a few people, get a story.
Yeah.
Take some pictures and go home.
Yeah. Get to know the family and, get a sense of the place. And that's not what happened at all. I mean, that happened, but I also ended up getting directly involved on multiple occasions with stuff. And particularly towards the end of the Karenni mission, I was hunkered down with a bunch of the Rangers and the medics, and they were taking wounded soldiers. They were, the resistance army was launching this assault on a Burma army camp up on this hill. And it was straight out of like a movie from like a Vietnam movie from the 70s, man. It was like, here's the jungle, here's these guys. And I'm watching them and the bullets are going and mortars landing. And it's intense. And I'm hunkered down in this little grove of trees, and I'm taking video of them bringing guys in who have been wounded. So they've got, they're close to death. And then they take them and they try to patch them up as much as they can. And then they take them to another place, which is a second CCP point, is what they call it, casualty collection point. And there is a transport vehicle where they can be put in the vehicle and then taken to a third CCP where there's actual like medical staff that can really sew them up and take the time outside of the direct line of fire to administer whatever medical aid they need to these guys and women too. So it's pretty intense. And so I was hunkered down with these guys, and I'm right there near the front line. And next thing I know, there's chaos and people are yelling really loudly. And it was funny because right before that happened, I felt something fly right by my ear, and I thought it was a strange Burmese bug. But then another one went by, and I was like, that might not be a bug. And then chaos erupted, and it turned out we were being ambushed by a battalion of Burma Army soldiers, and they'd come in behind us, and they were firing directly in our position. And so the next thing I know, I'm running out. I've got this all on video, by the way, because
How scary was this? Because as a friend of yours, we've sat at the same table, and had food. And I would imagine anybody who follows you actively on social media, like, we're concerned. Like, every time you uploaded something, I'm like, shit, I'm worried, but I'm not there with you. I felt like I was there with you on a few of those videos. What's going through your head right now? If anything, are you just reacting? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I've been in a few kind of weird kind of things before. So the sounds were just a lot louder than I'd experienced, and it was a lot closer, and it was a lot more threatening because it was directly at us. And I'm petrified, man. I'm scared.
Sure.
And it's hard because it's like we're running and you're being shot at. And all I was thinking about was getting the hell out of there, as fast as I could. And then I'm recording, and I'm thinking, I guess also that, maybe if they find my phone or whatever, that at least people will know, I don't know where I was, what was going on. I don't know. So I was just recording it. Plus, anyway, so we made it out to they chased us out into in an open field. It was freshly plowed farmland, and that really sucked because now we can't run as fast. I mean, it's like a bad nightmare. Every step you take, it just sinks into soft dirt, and it just slows your escape. It's terrible.
And you're like right there.
You're right in the open, and you're in a bottleneck too, because up on the hill, there's Burma Army soldiers that are firing now down at your position, and you're being fired at from behind, and you have no cover. And that's when things got a lot louder. In the video, you can hear it. It's just machine gun, RPGs, and then that's what happened. A grenade went past me and landed. And I turn around and I look, and I just see the cloud of dust, and I keep running, and there's shouts, and it's nuts. It's chaos. And we finally got to Grove of Trees, and I could look back, and one of our guys, the lead medic, actually, his name's Silverhorn, had been hit, and he was on the ground. And I was with David, who's, again, he's like 57 years old. He's got 2 bad knees, 2 torn hamstrings, and he looks back and he sees Silverhorn, and then he sees a couple of our guys trying to drag him off of the field because we're still taking fire. Yeah. And I just see this guy just start running back, and he waves, and he's like, to a couple of Rangers, he's like, guys, come with me, help me. And they're like, no.
Hard pass.
We're going to live, man. And I was standing there with my camera, and I'm recording all this. It was terrible, man. I was standing there. I'm like, well, at least I don't have to go back there. I mean, what am I going to do?
Right.
And so this kind of weird tap on my shoulder from what I can only explain as God saying, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm not going back there, Lord. I'll die." and I felt God say, I didn't hear this, but I felt him say, "Yeah, you might die, but do you love these people?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Then choose the love over fear." And so
Mm.
uh, I started walking back, and I went back, and they
How
had,
far were you and the other Rangers from where the medic had fallen?
I want to say about 50 yards, maybe
Whew.
50, 70 yards. But they were all the Burma Army soldiers were all in this tree cover, firing. So it's like it's a weird sensation going back toward the thing that can kill you and getting
Mm-hmm.
closer to it. It's like everything in your body says, "What are you doing, dude?" But anyway, so I went back, and Dave, they were trying to pull him out. And Dave looked at me, he goes, "We need your help, dude." And he gave me an ankle to hold because we're hammock carrying him out. And then David drew his weapon and provided cover fire, suppressed the fire coming our way so that we could get him out a little bit further. But he was bleeding out. That was the other thing. He was bleeding out, and he's a medic. And so he's communicating with one of the Rangers who could understand him, that if we didn't patch him up there right then and there, he was going to bleed out and die. And it was being communicated back to him that if we don't get you out of here, we're all going to die. We're all going to get smoked. But David felt like he had suppressed, he engaged, who was one of the Army volunteers who was with us, could suppress gunfire for the time being. And then they patched him up, and we had like 2 minutes. He asked me to keep time, and he goes, "You guys have 2 minutes." And then Gage, who's a trained Army medic, patched him up best he could to stop the bleeding long enough to get him to a truck. That was the other thing. So then David turned to me and he said, "Noah, you run security, which means you stay right here. Don't follow us, and look back. And if you see any Burma Army soldiers, let us know." Gage says, "Should we give him a gun?" David goes, "No, I think he's good. He's got this." And then they took off with Silverhorn to the truck that was waiting, that I really wanted to run with them too.
So you got your camera though.
Yeah, my camera's now off. It's in my pocket.
Right.
And there was this young kid who's 18, must be, I imagine he's like 18, 19, who comes running over to me, and he speaks broken English, and he goes, "I'll cover you." And he's got a rifle. Man. And so we sat there and looked at the tree line. But here's the other funny thing, is that I had prescription sunglasses because I'm nearsighted. So when David, and the funny thing was, my prescription sunglasses I lost just an hour ago when we were diving for cover from mortar. I dove down, they came off, and coming back up, and I started moving forward, and I got to the grove of trees where I was hunkered down with the team. And I realized, I lost. And I thought I know where I lost them. So when we go back, I'll just grab them. But then we were ambushed. We were chased out. So when I was running security and sitting, basically looking back, I realized I might not be. I'm like the worst person to ask to do this. Anyway, they finally got him to the truck so we could leave our security position. And then we ran through corn stalks that were about as high as my knees and had been planted over, just like 2 months ago. I was told it was just all poppy. They were growing poppy for heroin production there. But now it was corn. And the weird thing, man, it was really strange. Running through this field was, you could hear the bullets whistling through the leaves on the stalk of corns, but it made this weird whistle. At first I didn't know what it was, but it made this really cool whistling noise. And I realized what it was, and it was a horrific whistling noise.
Now, is that the video you had uploaded? That I trying to remember. I thought you had uploaded a video of someone getting kind of hit.
Yeah, I uploaded it for a bit and then I took it down.
Okay.
I plan on releasing it along with some other stuff later.
How long were you over there the whole time?
2.5 months. So the first month we ran a mission in Burma, which we went to a bunch of villages delivering medical and relief. And that was really cool. And it's just all day hiking over mountains. It's like, it's something straight out of Lord of the Rings. It's just absolutely breathtaking country. It's third world, seeing, water buffalo grazing and these giant like bamboo stalks that are as thick as like redwood trees. It's like Jumanji. It's spectacular. And you arrive in these villages after hiking all day long, and these remote villages that are in the middle of these rice fields, and they're bamboo huts on stilts and no running water or electricity for that matter. And people just so happy to see you and see that you care. And it's awesome and amazing. And, but there's always this looming threat of Burma army in the area. And I was slowly sort of introduced to that through the first mission. There was a moment where we almost got pinned down and smoked, and we had to end up running through this field of landmines. That was a lot of fun. Oh. And then the Burma army had come back in a position where we couldn't go back the same way we came in. So we had to go back a separate way, but that required us hiking all day and into the almost early evening. And that was brutal. And we did that for like 2 days straight. And then the Karenni mission was more violent. It was louder. It was more intense. It was pretty, and it's bizarre, man, because I felt an immense amount of responsibility when I left, because
tell the story.
Yeah. And not just about David and his family, but about what's happening to these people over there. They're literally just fighting to survive, and they got nothing. They've got guns that have been handed down to them that sometimes break, and if you imagine being like, let's say 14 years old or 13-year-old boy, and your father gets his leg blown off from stepping on a landmine that the Burma army planted outside a church, and you're forced to watch your mom being raped by a couple of these guys, and then they burn her alive in the fire pit in front of you, and you want to do something, and so you join up with this resistance army, but you're given a gun that can barely work, and you're afforded little training, and it's pretty brutal over there. And I do think that they're gaining momentum, and I do think that they're eventually going to win their freedom, their democracy for that country. But there's going to be a lot of blood that's been shed. I mean, they've been in a civil war for over 70 years. So it's, Ukraine has nothing on them, nothing on them. And they don't have any assistance, really. Separate.
How big is Burma as far as population? This is a generational resistance. This is a generational conflict. What's
generational? Yeah.
What's it going to take? Like who's the aid there? Who's the number one enemy? Obviously the army, but where are they getting their stuff? And what's it going to take?
They're getting their stuff from China and Russia. So Burma sits.
No wonder their shit barely works.
Yeah. Well, the Burma army is getting funded mostly China, and then they buy stuff from Russia. So the fighter jets that they have are all old Russian MiGs, I believe. But yeah, it's part of the problem is that, so Burma's right on the doorstep of China. So us sending aid over there is picking a fight that we probably don't want. Number one, we're already engaged with Ukraine, which is tenuous right now anyway. So there's that. There's also no real natural resource to compel us to get involved over there. There's like one oil pipeline. It goes directly into China. So, and it's between India, Thailand, China, and then there's a couple other countries there. I forget what they are. So it's, it's problematic. Like the only way I think they're going to win their democracy is and freedom is by doing what they're doing, which is fighting back, uniting, figuring out how to unite, how to fight back, what's at stake, which a lot of them know what's at stake. Um, it's, but it's brutal, dude. It's as brutal as you can imagine. I get updates weekly and I get photos. 6 of the guys that I was with last year are dead.
I saw you had updated at least once about one of them.
Yeah. And, I get pictures of, fire pits with limbs that haven't completely burned, stuff like that. Kids, it really, it's hard because it puts me on a place of outrage and anger, but also fuels my desire to tell a story.
And are these coming with these images? I mean, the experience sounds terrible. Sounds brutal. I mean, whether you're running from the tree line without your glasses or you're running from getting, you're worried about getting shot in the back. And then now you have to worry about where you're stepping too. Like, I can't even imagine the terror. So when you get back, I mean, how did that, I would imagine that would have changed you quite a bit. And it sounds like it has, but when you set foot, what was that first step? Or when you look out the window and you're getting ready to land, I assume, I don't know where you landed in the US, whether it's LAX or something, what was that first step like? What was that thought? What was your initial thought as soon as you landed or saw America?
That's a great question, man. It's funny. Well, as I explained to my dad, there's something that, I mean, this about me. I'm a spiritual dude.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there was some surgery that was done on me as a man and done spiritually. So I had this experience, and it kind of, the culture there is, one of the things of the culture there is they live every day as though it's their last, because it could be. So, like, as one of them put it to me this way, he said, our lives are like water on a leaf. You never know which way it's going to fall.
Oh, man.
And it's a concept that you hear, not being able to understand that at all, right? Because I'm from LA, I'm a writer. I plan as much as I possibly can, like Christmas, Thanksgiving. It's like, these guys aren't thinking about that at all. But after being there for 2.5 months, and after being in a lot of really scary places with them, and experiencing the joy on their faces and hearing their stories, and basically just falling in love with these guys, and these people. And then being in this incredible, difficult, scary, petrifying situation where you're given an opportunity to engage in a similar way that they engage, which is letting go, really helps you crystallize what's important. And so, getting back to your question, when I was touching down in LA, I just didn't feel like it was me anymore who was touching down.
Right. Different guy.
Totally different guy. And it was weird because I could not wait to leave, dude. I was so happy. Oh. I was so happy to get out of there. I was counting down the days, man. I missed my family. I missed cheeseburgers,
Right.
I missed not looking over my shoulder. I missed like the freedom of just being able to get in my truck and go anywhere, and do anything I wanted. So, but that said, when I came home, as soon as I was walking through the airport at LAX, part of me just wanted to go back.
Just like a movie, man. Are you looking around at people like, you have these people have no idea. Like, how would they, except for your project that you're working on?
Yeah.
But we get so tied up on things. Our experiences are all relative on what's important to us and what's a bad day, right? If I get a flat tire, it's the worst day of my life. Or is it? You just came from 2.5 months of just water rolling off leaves.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely changes your perspective about things for sure, and also people and about, just being grateful for what you have and being grateful for the day. And, it made me want to get out of Hollywood more than ever. It made me, where I was sort of like, there's a lot of great things that I love about LA and Hollywood and this town,
Right.
and some of the best friends that I have, some incredible relationships that I've made have been because of this business. But, I could care less, honestly, about this project or that project. I mean, I care,
Sure, I get it. Yeah.
but all the stuff that goes along with it, it's like, I just don't care. I care less. I didn't care so much before I left. I care even less after I came home. And like I said, I still miss it. I miss it. I miss being over there. I just talked to David actually 2 days ago, and he was saying, "Yeah, we got to get you back out here, brother." He goes, "You're a celebrity here now, and got your photo up on the wall, photos of you up on the wall now." And he goes, if when they do this movie, you're going to have to come back out here. You know that, right? And he's about to go back in, but it's the action is picked up over there, and it's gotten worse. It was bad when I was there. It gotten worse when I was there, but it's picked up even more so now. So.
Yeah, I can imagine that conversation. It's like went to Key West and had a great time. Can't wait to get you back out here. Yeah, I'm down. Let's pick a date versus Burma and everything you went through. It was like we got to get you back out here. And it's like, yeah, I want to go. Part of me wants to go, and part of me never wants to go again. And it's even worse now, I'd imagine. So, like you said, man, that's tough. So, how's the Free Burma project going?
It's going. It's with a company called Kingdom, and the person behind Kingdom, one of the people behind Kingdom, is named John Irwin. He has been producing a lot of movies in the, you might say, faith-based arena. Jesus Revolution is one of the latest ones. It's done really, really well. He's a really great filmmaker. He's a director, I believe writer too. And so, they were the ones who financed my trip over there, basically, and picked up the project to develop as a series. They've been talking about developing it as both a movie and a series now, which is exciting. But we'll see if it happens. I don't know. We're waiting. We're in a writer strike right now, so we can't do much
Right.
for that to resolve itself. But, we'll see. It's in God's hands, like water on a leaf. Don't know which way it's going to fall, man.
Will there be maybe a Noah Nelson produced documentary? Because I would imagine the TV show would be very loosely based on, or very strictly based on what you've done. And then, of course, the movie is a movie. Or is that?
It's funny because it's one of the hardest things to crack about this is what's your way into this story?
Right.
It's so unique of an experience, and it's such a unique family. I mean, I haven't even talked about David and his wife, Karen, and their 3 kids who are part of the rescue missions, and who they were part of a lot of operations in Iraq when ISIS had taken over Mosul, and the stories of what they did there and the hundreds of lives that they rescued, the kids included. It's like the Swiss Family Robinson, only they're real, and it's such a unique story. It's hard to just tell it that way. There's a way into it, and I think the way into it is someone like me who, in some ways, an everyday Joe who just goes over there and finds himself this insane situation to do one thing, to write an article, to tell a story, and then get swept up and into a bunch of guys who are, some of them are military volunteers, from different, a Marine here, Army guy here.
Right.
And ends up helping in a lot of ways
Almost like a Tears of the Sun scenario. So you get like a leading person to kind of play the role of your contractor guy, and then maybe that's the Hollywood end, I guess.
Yeah, my dream is Mark Wahlberg. My dream is Mark Wahlberg. I think he'd be great. Played Dave.
Yeah,
yeah. I keep seeing him. I don't know. See what happens. But
I'm sure The Rock would do it. He'll do anything.
I love The Rock. I think he's a little too big to play David, but yeah.
Nobody knows, They show the real pictures at the end. You're like, oh, really? Wow. Guy's like 5'6", 120 pounds. No, he's not that, but
those guys, believe it or not, David would always say, he's like, because the muscle guys, they show up here and they think they can keep up and they can't. It's those guys, you can't keep up. The guys that I mean, you got to be in such great shape, man. I mean, just incredible shape to keep up with them. It's intense.
There's probably not a lot of fun parts about the trip. Of course, there's some, great experiences close to heart. Let's talk about the overall culture. You missed cheeseburgers. What did you eat there?
A lot of rice and sometimes mystery meat. Sometimes the food was really good. You'd stop in a village. Hey man, it's farm to table.
Right.
They go out in the jungle and they pick stuff and whatever's growing, whatever's in season, they come back and becomes part of the stew with the rice and whatever it is.
Is there anything that you had that you may not have known what it was, or you knew what it was? You're like, wow, this is I'm going to miss this, whatever this is. And I don't mean to make it sound like everything's disgusting. I love rice. I can eat rice forever, but the mystery meat and stuff like that. I mean, good food is good food.
Yeah. It's funny. I was not a big rice fan before I left. And, just by virtue of the fact that you got to eat what you got to eat, man. I became a rice fan. And since I've come back, I eat rice. I was like, I'm happy eating rice with every meal. It's strange. I also grew up in Hawaii and rice is a big staple there too. So
that's right.
It's just been, eventually I had to accept it, and I've embraced rice. But yeah, I don't know if I should tell this story.
You've already led into it.
Yeah, I know. Well,
you can get creative with it.
Look, man, you're in a third world country, so you gotta let go of all your preconceptions and your ideas, and you gotta understand these people grew up without in a different part of the world. PETA is not over there, so sometimes you eat whatever you can catch, and there are still a lot of dogs running around sometimes. And kind
of wild though, right?
Yeah, they're all kind of the same breed. There's not like breed dogs. They're all the same,
the Mexican street dogs. They have like the super weird look, and they're all kind of the same.
Yeah, exactly. So one night I got to camp. It was late in the evening. Hadn't eaten anything yet, and one of the volunteers, great guy, comes walking up to me. He goes, "Noah, guess what's for dinner?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "It'll be staring back at you if you open the lid." And it was. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm passing on dinner tonight." And he goes, "I'm going to be honest with you. I've had some." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "It's pretty good." And I said, "Yeah." I said, I believe you, but no thanks. Yeah, exactly. So I said, camp is you set up a hammock and you set up your tarp over your hammock because it rains every night, just about. Mm-hmm. That's where you sleep, man. And that's where I slept. And that's actually a luxury too, because most of the time, if you are sleeping in a hut, you're just sleeping on a hard bamboo. So anyway, set up my hammock. And I was about to call, and I engage. I said his name. Great guy comes walking up to me with the shish kebab. He's like, "Are you sure?" And I go, "Yeah, man." I said, "Get that thing away from me." He goes, "I guess I'm barking up the wrong tree."
Vehicles. I believe you had uploaded a video where you guys were driving in a truck with no windshield. Maybe you were taking fire. I don't remember. It was a while ago. Is that is most transportation like little scooters and small like motorcycles, or they just got like anything miscellaneous?
So yeah,
This is the automotive portion of this conversation,
right. So in some of the more remote areas, they've just started using motorcycles to get around. It's dangerous because motorcycles make a lot of noise and expose them to any Burma Army soldiers that might be in the area. But they have started using motorcycles in some of the remote areas. We had ponies in the first part of the mission, and walked everywhere. But in the second mission, Karenni, they've got trucks. They've got Toyota Helix trucks, and they had also stolen, which they're really proud of, a Burma Army truck, which had the windshield shattered, and who knows what kind of gunfight that thing was in. And it was not safe at all, man. It was the funniest thing, and we would motor around on like it. Let me just tell you this: from the moment I showed up in Burma, the very moment to the moment I left, there was not one comfortable minute that I had. Everything was like, you just didn't know what was going to happen. It's just like anything could happen. And so it was a giant Burma Army truck, and we would load up the Rangers in the back, and I would kind of like help take us around. The Helix trucks, I believe it's pronounced Helix, or Hilux, right? Anyway,
I've heard it both ways. I read it as Helix, but I had a 4x4 guest on that said Hilux. So
he probably knows then. Hilux trucks, these things can take a pretty bad beating and keep going. And we use those. And again, it was scary going because you're taking back roads to get into places, because you want to stay away again from the roads that are occupied by Burma Army. So we're taking these like dirt roads that are all, if they've just been rained on, they're just mud, and you're sliding off the mountain, and there's a drop, and you're jumping out of the truck because you don't want to go down with the truck. I mean, it was, it was crazy, but yeah. So Toyota Hilux trucks, the stolen Burma Army truck. And then there were a couple of motorcycles that we had brought, that Peter Eubank, David's son, who's 16 at the time, would ride on, and he had his monkey, Winnie, that would hang on to him, and he would drive behind the trucks when we would go from place to place. Yeah, that was our transportation.
No, I appreciate you sharing that with me. I've been very curious since you got back. I'm like, oh, is this a good time? Is this a good time? I know he's busy. He's going through a lot of stuff. Is this a good time? So as always, thank you for being willing to be a part of this. Will you be joining us on Wednesday anytime soon?
Yeah, I'll try to pop on when I can. You guys are awesome. And yeah, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for asking questions about Burma. I mean, any news that I can get out. I'm writing an article right now about my experience over there that I plan. I don't know. Can you hear my dog snoring?
I heard something just now, but I mean, it could have been a chair moving for all I know.
Dog's so bored. I'm writing an article right now that is about my experience over there and the TV series and potential movie that's going to come out about it. Hopefully we'll shed a little bit more light on what's going on over there. But yeah, any opportunity I have to talk about it, I jump at. So I appreciate you inviting me to come on, and I appreciate your questions. They're great questions. And I hope that I
didn't have any of them written down, man. I'm just like, God, okay.
You're natural.
I got some questions. Yeah.
You're natural. Yeah. I have one question for you, because last time I tried to get an answer on your NSX, like it's how fast it goes from 0 to 60. You were kind of evaded it. So I'm wondering what
I don't know.
Is it? You don't know?
On the new car?
Yeah.
It's like sub 3s. I don't know. I haven't timed it myself, but some publications will say like 2.9, 2.8. Some publications will say 3.1, but I feel comfortable saying it's a sub 3 second. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I thought it was, hey, next time I come to Gilbert, there's a lot of new houses here. If you're looking for a place to relocate, Gilbert, Arizona, man, that's where it's at.
Too hot for me. But you know who's down there? You know who's in your area is Gage. the guy I was with last year. In fact,
Oh, no kidding.
I think he's getting married this week. I think he's either in Mesa or Gilbert. He might be in Gilbert, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So next time I'm down there, I'll hit you up if you're free. I'd love to grab dinner.
Sounds good. Is there anything we can do? People who watch this, listen to this. I say watch because this is on YouTube as well at some point. But what can we do, or do we just wait for the article and everything to come out and go from there?
No, don't wait, man. I encourage everyone to educate yourself about what's going on over there and see how you can get involved. I mean, there are places that you can donate money to that can find its way over there to keep these people fed and also there's a lot of kids, that are displaced and put into these camps that need, like, there are teachers there, but they need school supplies and stuff like that. So, money does find its way there. It's largely through the churches, Catholic Christian church, that's been supporting people over there. So if you get online, I'm sure you can find look up FBR, Free Burma Ranger, donate some money to them. See what you can do to get involved with what they're doing. They're a legit organization, and what they're doing over there is incredible. So yeah, man, just get involved if you can. Spread awareness.
Thanks, Noah.
All right, dude. Thank you again, man. Appreciate it.
You better hit me up when you come into town.
I will, for sure. God bless you.
As always, want to thank Noah for coming by the show. It's the first time he's been on in a couple of years. Such a great person. You can find more, like he said, go to freeburmarangers.org, and you can look up Dave Eubank and his family, and you can get involved. Stuff like that not only makes you want to be involved, but I loved that conversation so much. That's going to be one of those that I probably listen to more than once. So I look forward to the next time we are able to actually hang out. So with that being said, I want to thank Right Honda and Right Toyota, 4wheelonline.com, Sell Shop Wireless Services, and Patreon business supporter Kuya Automotive out of Warner Garden, Florida, Pell Construction out of Caledonia, Michigan, B House Small Home Design out of Ashburn, Virginia, Traverse City, Michigan, Westgate Exotic Cars and Rentals out of Glendale, Arizona, and Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley out of Boise, Idaho. Happy belated birthday to Mark Stoneman. Thank you, Catherine Cox, Richard Graves, Byron Jones, Bo Jung, Alice Kamina, Drew Bunkley, and David Garner. If you're in a position to help the podcast upgrade, you can join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month and get access to bonus audio as well as show swag. If you're interested in picking up Hard Parking shirt, just go to hardparkingpod.com and go to the store. Email the show, hardparkingpodcast@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at Pfenning. And please, if you have time, join the Hard Parking Violations Facebook group. Last but not least, share this episode with someone who needs to listen to the Free Burma story. And just share it with anyone in general, because I can't grow without you telling the world how great this show is. Let's do this. Let's grow this in together. And we'll talk to you all next week.
Shut up!
Now it's stripping time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.